DDG episode 251. My name is Dave, and I'm joined by Michael.
Dave, we celebrated 250 so hard we had to take a week off. That's what we're going with, right?
Now, the industry took our 250th episode and said, you know what, we just can't talk about anything else anymore this week.
It just makes sense.
That's why we didn't record last week, because there wasn't nothing to talk about.
But we have stuff to talk about this week.
Yeah, so apparently they all just took a little holiday, and now we're, and before the holiday they took a holiday. So yep. I don't know, that's an Eastern term, right? Stefan or Matt will correct me. They get a whole week for one holiday in Europe, don't they?
I don't know what you're talking about, Dave, but yeah, sure, let's go for that.
They're always on holiday. Whenever you run and talk to someone, I'm on a holiday.
No, they only seem like they're on holiday because they have worker rights that are a little better than us. We're we get 6 holidays a year. We can fucking enjoy them.
All right, so we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a podcast that publishes most weeks, Thursday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern Time on podcast services. If you are listening to us for the first time, please consider subscribing, leaving us a review, and then letting us know what you think. If you've been listening to us for a long time, please consider sharing the show and letting other people know that you think that this is a good show. That's always helpful. You can watch our shows on YouTube or Twitch, twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming, youtube.com/Digital Days Gaming. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. That is free. You can subscribe on Twitch. That costs money. Or you can link it with your Amazon account and get Prime Gaming. Get some other cool stuff and a free subscription. Consider using that on us or somebody else. Don't let it go to waste, please. Use it on anybody. They get like $3 out of it, so it's well worth it. If 100 of you did that, we'd be great. Just kidding. I don't care. But you can also subscribe to the audio feed on YouTube as well. So if YouTube is becoming one of your main media platforms, it'll notify you when the show goes live on the podcast feeds, and you can listen to it through YouTube, which isn't blocked on a lot of companies' Wi-Fi's or school Wi-Fi's, libraries, all that fun stuff, since it is an educational website for now.
We educate.
Yeah, absolutely. So other than that, our Discord server, Facebook group are linked in the show notes. Our Blue Sky, our Twitter, our X, whatever the hell you want to call it, is linked in the show notes as well. You can check that stuff out. We don't use it as much as we should, but maybe one day we will. And with all of that minutia out of the way, we're going to jump into the news.
Yeah, it's a very weird week for news, so we're going to roll into the more heavier stuff. This is a good news. So Final Fantasy XI almost shut down last year, but the fandom wouldn't let it. So speaking with Dengeki Online, the current creative director of Final Fantasy XI said that last year's expansion was probably going to be the end of the game, and they would either go into maintenance mode or they would just go and just kill the game outright. But the player base thrived in its 23rd year, and they decided to just keep it going. So originally, Final Fantasy XI, for those that aren't aware, started in the PS2 in 2002. The game currently only runs on PC after the PS2 and the Xbox version ended in 2016 for the PS2 version. Xbox version, I believe, ended a couple years before that. The game, since its inception, has had a monthly subscription of about $11.95. Give or take $1 or $2. I think it's fluctuated here and there. And while the numbers are nowhere near where they once were, or the numbers of Final Fantasy XIV, the player base there is still super dedicated, and Square Enix has decided it is worth keeping it around. So now they have plans for a bunch of new stuff. I believe some modern gamepad controls, because all the gamepad controls for it are outdated or fan modded. They're going to do a new battle system, the ability to change characters' race, which is a big feature, that it's surprising that it wasn't there, but also based on how old it is more complex to do it.
Yeah, I don't think it's surprising it wasn't there in a PS2 game, but okay.
Yeah. But it's been PC only since 2016. And then there's just adding a whole bunch of new content, so they're not done with 11, and it doesn't look like there's plans for it to end anytime soon. I bring this up because it's kind of we've been talking about Grand Theft Auto and how you transition one MMO to the next one, and this is Square being you know what, even if it's a small dedicated fan base, they're still willing to pay $11.95 a month, so keep it rolling.
Dave, I mean, we've ran the numbers, or kind of messed the numbers up when we talk about Game Pass or PS Plus, or and that's sometimes a month, sometimes that's a year, but this is. I guess I don't know. I haven't really had a I mean, I have monthly subscriptions, but like I haven't had a game, like a direct single game subscription.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I think sometimes you can pay for the entire year and just swallow it. I think sometimes you can pay for like 6 months or a month. I know I feel like I did something at one point in time with DC Universe Online. And so, like, if they are potentially paying, whatever, I don't even know, like roughly like $120 and they get the whole year or whatever, or $100 and they get the whole year. To your point, or your bullet points on here are saying that there's enough dedication here that they're warranting work, and it doesn't really sound like they've had any real work for 10 years.
Well, PC, they've been releasing expansions pretty consistently for the game. It's not as frequent as it
what
used to
size and scope though? Like, I mean, like we're not talking about like a Final Fantasy like online like expansion style thing.
Well, yes, but in terms of what you could do with an old game,
right?
In terms of like they don't have like high end cutscenes or anything like that. It's just new missions, new structures. There's like cutscenes and stuff, but it comes into this weird thing of just like. It's probably not that expensive to do expansions for it, but then you have to have like archaic infrastructure that you then need to have an expert that still can do that.
Yeah.
So it's a weird spot where it's probably not super costly, but the people that are working on it are probably very specific people that you need to work on it. I looked up some of the numbers, and it apparently still actively has like 5,000 daily players. It says they might have 1 million subscribers still. Which is just kind of crazy.
That's ridiculous, actually. But okay.
That's from the MMOpopulation.com.
Yeah. What does it show on Steam charts usually? Because is it a Steam game?
I think it's its own launcher since we're talking about a game that's been running since 2002.
Okay.
According to this, it's like 5,000 daily players, which sounds about right. And it says like there is a player base of like 1.7 million people, but that doesn't mean they're all active
right
at any point. That was just what they measured last year. Because they also do the thing where like an expansion comes every 2-3 years, and then a bunch of people resubscribe because they're like, holy shit, this is still running. And then they hang around for a little bit. Right. They did do a thing, I think, last year where they did do a crossover with Final Fantasy XIV, and I think as a way to entice those 11 players to try 14 by adding some characters from 11 and then doing some missions that like were specific to the world of Final Fantasy XI. So they are trying to do more crossover stuff to maybe entice those people to move over to 14, but at a certain point they're just happy with this player base that still seems to be doing enough work that Square is like, screw it, let's keep it going.
Very cool. To be honest with you, I didn't really know. I'd heard chatter, like you hear chatter about like Final Fantasy X remake, 9 remake, and then it kind of used to do like jump to 12, and then 13 was, had a lot of. 13 was like a big change in direction. I could be wrong, but I felt like it started to like change the camera and change the combat system. I feel like 13 was that turning point, but I could be wrong.
A little bit. There was a little bit more actiony.
And like a lot of people were like clamoring for an 11 remake, and I was like, okay, well, it's just Final Fantasy 11. I didn't realize it was a MMO or a game like what we would call now essentially a live service game, and that's super cool. Do you think that this gives it any legs for a potential full rebuild from Square for this?
No, I think with their experiment they did last year with the crossover event, I think they would just want to try and integrate some of the worlds and some missions and be like, hey, we remade those missions in 14. You should really subscribe to 14, because I don't think they would want to break away from 14.
Right, like to move them.
Yes, yeah. And they'll probably try and do this more. And it would probably be an easier thing for Square to do. Like 14's been around now like 10 years, and it's really hard to develop new stories for and keep it going. And if you're just saying, hey, here's 11 content that we just, made new cutscenes for, and we, like modernized it, that could be enough for them to like placate both 14 players hungry for new content, and then also give 11 people a reason to jump to a modern game. Mm-hmm. But it's really cool. I'm looking at the charts, and it looks like it peaked at this year at like 14,000 daily players. This year, like it had a really big increase. I think that's when the expansion came out, kind of around that time, or there might have been something else going on. But yeah, it's been going up and down. Like they hit over 10K a couple times a year. It's just fascinating, and I think it's just interesting, you know, as we talk about like how they're going to shut down probably Grand Theft Auto Online currently to move people over. And this shows like it's possible you could just run both and one might just get smaller, but it's just a matter of how successful you want the successor to actually be.
Right. Yeah, that's always going to be the interesting thing. So
yeah. All right, we'll move on to more Square Enix news. This one's just for me. So Square Enix cancels Lawn in Development Kingdom Hearts mobile game. So Square finally canceled the Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. This was a mobile game announced in 2022 that's had several alphas and betas over the last couple years. This was a GPS-based RPG. Every time news would come out of some of the betas or some screenshots would leak, videos would leak, it just didn't look that interesting. But because it's Kingdom Hearts, we know the lore is going to be important. There's a lot of people that played Kingdom Hearts 3, myself included, that never touched the mobile games, and we had a lot of confusion when we were playing 3 because it's like, who the fuck are they talking about? And turns out they're talking about the mobile game stuff.
Didn't they do some epilogue stuff sometimes to even fill those gaps in?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
They did all that because they were like, hey, the mobile games are actually important. But no one played them, especially outside of like Japan. So they just outright canceled this to make up for it. They released about like 5 or 6 screenshots of Kingdom Hearts 4 and reminded everyone like, hey, it's still in development. The way they released the screenshots were funny. They released it as a collage. So not individual screens. Yeah. So you had to like super zoom in to be like, is Mickey Mouse playable? And me and my friends were freaking the fuck out of like, holy shit, Mickey Mouse is playable. And yet we're in our 30s.
Yeah, and you're gonna get disappointed. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be a cutscene or it's just gonna be a couple seconds. But yeah, so Square seems like they're getting busy again. We still don't know how long it's going to be for this, but Square Enix was talking a big game during a recent financial call of just like, we need to hit a reset. We need to do a reboot of pretty much our whole infrastructure, which we kind of talked about last year a couple times. Mm-hmm. They did the usual, like, we're going to be looking for quality, not, quantity. And they're going to be looking to just kind of cut down on some of the extra stuff that they're doing. And that includes some of these spin-off games. But yeah. Kingdom Hearts 4 still exists.
It makes sense. I don't really feel like mobile games can have the same development span as a AAA console PC game. Like, I just don't think you can do that. I feel like time, like, again, I use this kind of as a point of reference. We heard rumors and rumblings about this NetEase Destiny game, like all the way from a long time ago, where investments were made and they kind of licensed it. And then all of a sudden, I felt like it was kind of like it was rumbled and rumored, and then it was here, and like at least the beta wise or whatever was here. And then so there has to be, you have to show some kind of progress, and especially in a mobile game. And this goes for everything. Like I believe, now I'm trying to even remember if I did or didn't. I played, I think, the Division Mobile. I played it.
Yeah, you did. You did an event for it.
Right? Yeah. And it's nowhere. I haven't heard anything about it since. So like in terms of like making a playable version of a game, like it played, and it actually, if I recall correctly, it was okay. Like I wasn't like, I was like, okay, this is a mobile version of a game I enjoy. This is okay. And now it's just nothing. Like I don't think it's even been officially canceled. They haven't said anything. I haven't seen anything. And so, and that was kind of the mantra about Destiny too. Like Destiny Rising, I think it's what it's called, is like, they're like, hey, for a mobile version on my phone or on my tablet of Destiny, like this is okay. Like this is okay. Riddled with microtransactions like a mobile game would be and a NetEase game would be. And I think you would, in 2025, 2026, Michael, I think you might be in that same mantra of, okay, for Kingdom Hearts on my phone, this is okay.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of doing the mobile games was it's quick cash, it's not as long of a
not if it takes
cycle.
5 years to come out though.
No, and I think that's what Square finally hit. I imagine, that's why Ubisoft was like, wait, why are we taking like 3 or 4 years for this mobile game? Especially in a mobile market where things come and go. It's just like, is it really worth, trying to catch lightning in a bottle?
When everybody had Flappy Bird, that was like 5 months. Like,
I mean, I remember PUBG Mobile had like
Yeah.
a small window where people were playing it.
and I think that the transition has happened. I mean, Owen does it periodically, but he pretty much has moved on and not liked it. I feel like Fortnite, as an example, and Fortnite Mobile. Oh, okay, this is okay. I can play this. I can hook a backbone up to this. I can hook a controller up to this. Okay, forget it. Let's just get let's get an Xbox. Let's get a Switch. Let's get a PC.
Yeah.
Like they eventually just move up, which
Yeah.
is, to your point, maybe what Square is trying to go after. Like, okay, here is a Square Enix developed game on your phone that has Disney characters and a new character and a different character. And the hope is, okay, this is good. I'm enjoying this. There's got to be a better way to play. And like that's where the gateway system is how I feel it goes.
Well, I also imagine with how gaming has gone, with like streamers, influencers, and stuff like that, where the mobile market was for kids, but now you have like 5-year-olds, like they want a full PC setup. To where that market.
Owen's already starting to ask, like, oh, when am I going to get my own PC? And I'm like, bro.
Yeah. Well, and I imagine that is like affected some of these mobile games that got canceled because they're just like, oh, damn, the Division, which would be a mature rated game, it would be really easy to get kids to play this if it was on their phones. And that market has shrunk so much.
And I also feel like if you think about it, like Owen Owen always gets like a hand-me-down phone. I think Owen has like a Galaxy 8 or 9 or something like that. Maybe not even that. It might be a 10. So, and like I think we have the numbers jump. So it sounds terrible when I say this, but I think I have a 24 and she has a 23. But trying to get like at this point in time you can get something like super basic with your AT&T Verizon Xfinity plans or whatever. But if you're gonna give a 9-10-year-old a $1,500 device in their hand that they really can't take to school, and if you want to kind of monitor them, a desktop is the best, almost a better way than a phone.
Put that in a room you can see them working on. Yeah.
Versus, like, I'll be honest, there's some times that Owen's supposed to be like in bed asleep, and I go in there and he's like tucked away, like putzing on his phone, like watching YouTube Shorts at like, I don't know, 9:30 at night when he's supposed to be in bed at 9. I mean, he's like, "Oh, I was charging my phone." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, buddy."
Yeah. Yeah, no, but I imagine that is just kind of where the market has gone, and Square's kind of gotten ahead of it. Square canceled quite a few things last year, and they're finally going to their mobile market of just like, hey, you know what? Even for so long, it was just like China, their mobile market is amazing. They went like China has a lot of mobile PCs now, and we're starting to get those trickle in.
Yeah, and I saw this when I was in Canada, and when I went to Toronto for Niagara Falls and the Blue Jays games and stuff like this, and I saw it. You and I have seen it in LA and San Francisco.
Yeah.
There's a lot of commuter, and you get it more in Chicago than I get it in Metro Detroit. There's commuters, like and like where like some people are on a train for 45 minutes, an hour and a half every day. Or in Toronto, what I was seeing is some people were on trains for an hour and a half each way. And so like, and those trains are full Wi-Fi, like, full free Wi-Fi, good speed. I was like messing around with it. I was like, this, I don't know who pays the bill. That's a different conversation with different countries and everything like that.
There's some countries that can manage their budget.
Yes, but it's just I could see the need and the desire of the tech, and it fascinates me even more to go to like Japan. Like there's a guy, I think you've played with him before, like Bleak Harvest lives in Japan. I haven't talked to him in a couple years, but he would kind of talk about like the culture and the demeanor and how things are working and what people do, and a lot of times is their head is down on a phone or in a computer or in a tablet.
Yeah.
Versus here, like as an example, and I'm not trying to like put you on blast or anything. You don't drive.
No.
Like I do. Now my drive is nothing now, but even when my drive was something, I drove like my hands on at least one hand on the wheel. And in your case, like you might mess around with something, like whether you listen to something. This is why Spotify does so well too with commuters and drivers, and then also like people on public transportation.
Yeah.
But it's just not as prominent in the United States across the whole country as it is across all of like Asia or the populated spots of Asia.
I have a thing where like I would say a couple years ago, I would see people playing their DS, their Switch, their iPads on the train, the CTA train in Chicago Public Transit. That's not really the case too much anymore because of other reasons in the city.
Yeah.
But like in the trains that go from like the suburbs, the long form trains, the ones that people do ride for
speed
2
trains,
hours.
bullet trains, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, the metro trains, you do see people on their laptops, on their Switches. I've seen a ton of Steam Decks on those trains because it's like a safer commute, and also there's not 1,000 stops, of people coming in and off the trains. So I do see those, those type of people on there now, and I'm starting to see more and more Steam Decks and some ROGs here and there.
I have an associate that brings the Steam Deck to work, and he plays it on his lunch.
Yeah.
He has like Baldur's Gate 3 on his, and he gets like a 15-minute break every day, or if he works a certain amount of time, he gets a 30-minute break, and he'll just kind of, I don't even really know if he eats or doesn't eat, but sometimes he's just sitting on a chair in the break room and he's just playing a Steam Deck. I think he's playing Baldur's Gate right now. So,
man, I have an hour lunch. I wish I could do that, but I have to decompress every lunch.
Oh, I come home for lunch now, Michael.
Yeah.
That's how close I live, and I come home and I make food, and I'll watch a show on like Netflix, or I'll watch like I can feel like I can sit down and before it used to be like, oh, like, okay, 5 minutes to get from point A to point B, order your food, get your food, it's 15 minutes in, eat your food, and you get like 3 minutes to decompress on a 30-minute break. And like now I'm like, I can get home, I can get to and from work in like 9 minutes.
See, no, I get an hour lunch, but I have to find a safe space where then I can just stare at the ceiling and go, fuck.
Yeah, my safe place is in my house.
Yeah, no, I need to decompress for my hour, and then if someone interrupts my lunch to talk about work, I'm just like, I'm adding 10 minutes. You talk to me about work. I'm adding 10 minutes to my lunch. Yeah. So yeah, no, I wish I could just bring I was thinking like, oh, maybe I'll start bringing the Switch too when I have that and start playing that at work. And then I'm just like, man, the last time I brought
Wi-Fi compatible enough though?
I mean, I'm in an office building, so I'll like, if I'm on my lunch, I'll just go use the Wi-Fi for like the guests.
Okay. Usually that sucks though.
It's not too bad. Ours isn't too bad in the building. But then again, I'm playing mostly single player stuff anyways. True. But it is one of those things where I'm just like, I remember bringing my Switch to work before, and then someone thinking that's an invitation to talk video games with me while I'm playing it, and that would just drive me nuts. Of just like, oh man, I had my headphones on, and you interrupted me to tell me you like Madden. Cool.
But that's why I miss like it's a certain aspect of it. Like you would 100% have done this even 5 years ago, and I wish I could. But like you would have, if you had the ability to come home for lunch like I would, you could actually eat something, and then you would play like a match or two of Overwatch. You would.
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah.
Yeah, and if Overwatch ran well enough on a Steam Deck or something, or if you were still into it, I just haven't found that small little quick. I can play a level, I can play 20 minutes and stop. I haven't found that game. Like a lot of times I get annoyed when I get into something and I like have to stop. And I'm like, okay, I don't even want to start because I know I'm not going to be able to finish.
I get the same way. Or like I get that in Rivals where I'm like, can't end on a loss, got to do one more. Or, I got a win streak. Why would I stop now? It's slippery slope.
Johnny's a boy. He's like Mario Kart World break time. Johnny, that would require you to buy a Switch too, and you already gave that a thumbs down. So.
That means he's already broke.
Yeah.
That means he's like, well, I went into Best Buy and they had pre-orders available. So that means he broke down. Coward. All right, next story should be quick. Fallout Season 2 has wrapped shooting, and it's actually expected in December. So previous reports were expecting this to be like a 2-year production time, post-production, shooting. But Amazon announced that they finished shooting a couple weeks ago, and they're going to have a quick post-production, and they expected to premiere in December of this year, and Amazon has already greenlit it for Season 3, which is going to start shooting sometime later this year. So it seems like Amazon is doing the opposite of what Max does, what Netflix does.
It's HBO Max now, sir.
Oh, yeah. What HBO Max does, what Netflix does, and take fucking forever to release stuff. So we're going to get Fallout way quicker than we imagined. Doesn't mean this won't get delayed, but if they put a December release date, I don't imagine if it gets delayed more than a couple months, if that. Did you finish Fallout?
I did not. So that's also something else that I probably like. Sometimes there's this balance of trying to, and I think you and Sarah do a better job than Angela and I do of it. I don't really have very many things that I watch myself. I'm trying to get better at it. But it goes either way. Like for the most part, the stuff that Angela watches, like that she watches on her own, like I genuinely have no interest. Or even like, well, Zoe's coming home soon too, and it'll be like baking shows and criminal dramas and criminal justice drama, like
murder and cupcakes.
Even stuff that's like that's a, you know what, that's probably the new phrase I'm going to use for my daughters, like stuff. But like there's like I'll have like one or two things, and she really didn't get into Fallout. I didn't play the games. I didn't dislike what I saw with Fallout, but it didn't like rivet me. But I should go back to that. I have Amazon. I should just go back to it and finish it, because now I feel a little bit better about committing to it with knowing that season 2 and season 3 are coming.
Yeah. To
where certain things may or may not be explained to me. And I feel like the writers get some pressure lifted off their shoulders about how they're going to end a season when they know that they get another season. Yeah. So, yeah, like, and I think that means that season 2 will potentially already be better. It will be better than season 1. Yeah. And then it would probably be the best season if we only get 3 seasons, because this is where they can connect from the first one, lead into the third one, and then you just get disappointed at the end. You're like, that's it. Like,
when
not
Netflix
that it's
is like,
nobody's fault,
or when Amazon's like, this is expensive, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah, so like that is intriguing enough to me. Like I was having a conversation with a different colleague at work today, and he's like, "Oh, did you watch the Halo show?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Yeah, don't." I was like, okay.
Well, it's funny that the Halo show, like, I think the first season people were like, it's okay. Then people are like, second season's really good. And then season 3, I think, again,
Exhibit A.
Yeah.
Like,
it just fell apart, and they're like, this isn't Halo
anymore. We can talk about it a little bit too, with We Will and Play and Watching, and a little bit of playing and watching we do or don't have. But I would argue, like right now, Last of Us season 2 television show is better than season 1. Like, just in terms of...
No, it's not,
in terms of, like, what you're seeing with the show and what they're doing. Like, in terms of, like, the I'm really intrigued. Like, I already know the story. You know, like 90% of the story, so I'm content. But, like, the clicker events are so cool. Like,
man, I not to get in the tangent, but like, so I'm enjoying The Last of Us season 2. I think it's pretty good. They are making some head scratching decisions with some of the writing. But there's something about it that just isn't clicking. The last episode was fantastic. I think it was a really good episode, but there's something just not clicking, no pun intended.
As in like 2 nights ago episode you're talking?
Yes, the last episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And it just, I don't know, like, season 1 felt like perfection.
I'm not saying like I'm riveted, like I'm not, because I kind of already know, I do know the outcome. But there are a couple things that I agree with you. This last episode was great. That one scene at the end of that episode was probably the best scene in the franchises on a show of like 14 episodes. That conversation on the porch. You know, like those are things that I think are great and fantastic. But I'm starting to, you know, like they are kind of concerning. I think we talked about this a long time ago when they said, like, you know, it's going to be played over multiple seasons. I'm like, okay, like how much padding and how much fodder are you going to do? Because to your point, season 1, game 1, really, I only really felt like it had one padded episode, and you would argue that one padded episode was the best episode out of all of them.
Yeah,
and that's the story in Pittsburgh, or
Bill.
I can't think of the character. Yeah, Bill's. So like that would be arguably the best episode versus potentially like I guess if you watch the stuff at the end of The Last of Us show, each episode, the making of, or like the little podcast thing they have, I just wish that they would actually show the video game inspiration a little bit more, so I can kind of see what they were trying to do. Because there's certain times I'm like, I'm with you, like that's a little off.
Yeah, that's what it is. It just feels just a little off, and I think what doesn't help is I've been getting the TikToks where they compare scenes from the game and the show, and they're just...
You might have to send me those. So.
Yeah, it's one of those scenes where it's like they're just close enough that the differences that the show makes will bother you, of just like, fuck, they were right there. Why didn't they just do this, you know? And it's a shame because I do like, you know, all the actors in the show are good. I'm not one of those people that has a problem with any of the actors. Yeah. It's just one of those things where it's like something's just not right. And I think I I think it's partially because there's only one episode left for the season, so it's shorter season. It's only 7 episodes.
Yeah, okay. I suck at that. Okay.
Which sucks that it's like, so short after a 2-year wait of a season. And I'm part of me, I'm just like, shit, can we just get the Abby's perspective? I need to see Abby's stuff because I need the other end to make it complete for me, because I'm comparing, because in the video game, such a key element of that game is after you spend your time with Ellie, you do get your Abby time, and
that parallel realization. Like, I think that's a big thing too, of like when you start understanding that you're running parallel lines. Super cool, super fascinating.
Yeah, and maybe
if they don't figure out a way to portray that in the third season, I think that they're going to miss a huge thing of like where the players are like, oh wait, that's going on now. Okay, like because certain audio cues you would hear, you're like, I know what's going on over there.
And if it's going to take 2 years to get to that season, or to the next season, that could be problematic, because then it's going to be like, oh, I guess I kind of remember Ellie in the hospital. Like you're going to run into instances like that.
Johnny, they don't mess up that thing, by the way. So,
oh yeah, the museum, whatever. Yeah, is pretty good. But yeah, that's The Last of Us talk. What were we talking about? Fallout. Fallout is coming. Fallout
it fits in the TV show news thing.
Yeah,
leave it alone.
Fallout season 1 was great. Season 2, like the post production being so short, gives me a lot of hope that a lot of the sets and stuff are practical. We have seen a lot of leaks of like they built out New Vegas physically. It's not this green screen, which gives me hope that they are like, let's reduce the amount of CGI, which usually takes the longest for them to create. And we have more practical effects, practical sets, practical enemies, monsters, all that sort of stuff. So that gives me hope. And also, like, if they're going to be in Vegas, it is going to be dialogue heavy. So I don't imagine a lot of crazy set pieces in this next season. So I'm excited for that. Dave, unless you have any Fallout stuff, we just got to jump into it. This is going to be the meat of our episode. Let's just call it now. This is the PlayStation Live service drama hell that we're in now. So we'll start here. Jade Raymond has left Haven Studios. So Jade Raymond has officially left the studio she founded, Haven. Haven is currently developing Fairgames. Apparently they dropped the $ in the game title, which according to Bloomberg had a rough close playtest and the future is currently in doubt for the game. Jade Raymond, who is a key figure in Assassin's Creed, has had like a rocky road post Ubisoft. She left Ubisoft to go to EA, where she formed Motive Studio and was named head of Visceral. They were working on Star Wars 1313, which was the Amy Hennig Star Wars game before that got canceled. She eventually helped Battlefront 2 as a support studio with Motive before leaving to work with Google. At Google, she was one of the heads of Stadia, and nothing really came from that, as we know. After leaving Stadia, she then went to form Haven, which was acquired by PlayStation a couple years ago. Fairgames was announced. What has it been, like a year, 2 years now since Fairgames was announced? And again,
haven't seen it since. Saw a trailer and haven't seen anything since.
Apparently, the studio is super worried because of these closed playtests that were like internal playtests at PlayStation and at the studio. They did not go well.
Because Concord sent them screaming into the corner.
That's what it sounds like. But yeah, the first sign that you might be in trouble is when your founder bails before your game comes out. So Jade Raymond has left Haven, and man,
took her bag and ran. Like,
basically. And you can't blame them. But like, man, if she starts another studio,
what's the last game that she developed that came out?
Helped Battlefront 2 as a support studio. That's the only thing that I have.
When did that come out?
Battlefront 2 would have been 2017?
No way.
2016? Hold on. Battlefront 2. That came out 2017.
2017. Okay. All right.
Yeah. But
so almost 10 years, like, because like let's just add, no matter, like, well, now 15
Yeah, and also we're talking about a support studio, not the main studio. Yeah. That was still DICE.
So what's the last Assassin's Creed she worked on then?
I think Far Cry 4 was the last Ubisoft game she worked on. And then whatever Assassin's Creed was before Far Cry 4.
Yeah. So like she's kind of getting in that Amy Hennig world, in my opinion. Ironically enough, she followed Amy Hennig somewhere. That Amy Hennig doesn't really have anything with her official name on it since Uncharted 3.
We'll talk about her next project and what's delayed.
Yeah. So like it's just kind of like this is one of those things, like you said, they're kind of worried like this is a I can't even think of his name right now. The guy that just Jim Ryan. There we go.
Yeah.
This is a Jim Ryan baby, and now they're divorced. Like whether it was an applicable divorce or not an applicable divorce is irrelevant. Jim Ryan was the catalyst for you purchasing this studio. Jim Ryan's no longer there anymore, and now it's under Herman Hulst. Jeez. And he might, Herman Hulst is more of a single player guy with a multiplayer aspect. He has tremendous single player success. And, and I don't know how much of an impact he had on Killzone's multiplayer, but you could argue that
he was the founder of the studio during that time. So I talked about multiplayer with Herman extensively before.
Okay.
So he is a multiplayer guy.
So he has that. Yeah. But this also, like, the other side of the coin is what we heard when Haven was opened and when Haven was in development and when Haven was purchased was they were doing something that was a completely different game. We were kind of getting Portrayal to Dreams, but better.
Play, create, share without using those three words. Like they were saying this was going to be like one of the coolest things.
And then we saw Fairgames and we're like, okay, this looks like GTA 5 Heist on steroids.
Basically, this was what is the game? Is Heist, right? What is the game with the clown mask? Jesus Christ,
Payday.
I can't think.
Payday.
There we go. Yeah. But yeah, no. And there's been some stuff that has come out. There was like Fairgames. There's a presentation that leaked, and it looks like the thing that was play, create, share is you could make burglar masks. Like different masks that would be specific to you and stuff like that, and nothing that even remotely looked like the vision that they were pitching and the vision that got their studio acquired by PlayStation.
May 24th, 2023 is when Fairgames was announced as a competitive heist experience.
And then they were acquired shortly before that, right?
I think so,
because Fairgames wasn't announced until after they're like, hey, we are going to revolutionize creation and multiplayer games.
It announced in the PlayStation Showcase in 2023 with Spider-Man 2 gameplay revealed. Bungie also unveiled Marathon, ironically enough. Next story. Yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of down this little rabbit hole here. Alan Wake 2 launched on PS5. Foam Stars Helldivers 2 drops on PlayStation later this year. Immortals of Avenue, another a game that I thought would have been fantastic, and it wasn't. And introducing Fairgames, a competitive heist experience coming to PS5 and PC. So, and now we're almost to the, she leaves almost 2 years to the date of the announcement.
Yeah. So according to Bloomberg, PlayStation didn't even give Haven staff a reason for her departure. They just, I guess, went into work and they're like, yeah, Jade doesn't work here anymore. And then it turns out she left. But if they weren't willing to give a reason, it almost sounds like they may be pulled her to the side and are like, what are we doing? And then maybe they mutually agreed to leaving. But it sounds like there were some huge concerns with the developers with the progress of the game, like where it exactly was in the development cycle, and then also the reception that it had during these playtests.
And the question we'll never have answered was she holding it back, or was she pushing it forward too much, and people weren't agreeing with that? Like that's that give and take that we'll never know.
And this is one of those things where now the current thing is this going to get Concord before, like, PlayStation is now in this boat of just like, if this game is really in trouble, do we have time to put someone else in charge of it to get this off the ground, or is it just worth killing now And if they do that, they would just probably shut the studio down at that point as
Correct.
well.
Because you would say it's your favorite thing, even though it's in Canada, it's still a tax write-off.
Yeah. Yeah, to where they would just completely wipe it. And, we'll get to the next story, but like if Concord cost, with the studio acquisition and development time, like $400 million, and you put this maybe, let's benefit of doubt, we'll say half that budget, $200 million, we're still talking about like $500 million potentially just flushed down a drain after doing this cash grab for, like we got to get live service games. And not to do the PlayStation versus Xbox thing, but like if you're PlayStation and you tell Jim Ryan to leave, this is why you tell Jim Ryan to leave, is because like, hey, we spent $500 million potentially on 2 live service games in studios that we're just going to flush down a drain and get rid of and have nothing to show for it. And with that same money, we maybe could have bought like a studio that actually fit, our time. Especially all the companies were making these acquisitions because they wanted to use their money while it still had value, pre-recession, pre-inflation. So they're never going to get that money back. Tax write-offs, whatever, is not going to get them that money back, or the opportunities that they might have had 3 years ago to acquire a studio or 2 that would have better fit, like,
or even just to buy an exclusive IP, like to buy the rights to exclusive that they use their budget for Haven and use their budget for Sometimes Always Monsters or Firewalk. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And also used a lot of their budget for Bungie.
If you look at just like what studios were available, it's just like, damn, if they would put that money. I don't like Gearbox, but Gearbox was for sale. Crystal Dynamics was for sale.
Yeah.
Eidos was for sale. IO Interactive was for sale. There's like so many studios that were just available.
They might have had the cash to get WB to be like, oh, you want Mortal Kombat? Okay, like they might have had the cash versus they don't have the cash.
Yeah. Instead, Jim Ryan, and it's not just Jim Ryan. I think Shu said he also approved Concord at the time, but Jim Ryan ultimately had the say, and he was the one pushing like we're gonna have 12 live service games and stuff. So just. We talked about it, and I think we were some of the only ones speculating that Jim Ryan might have gotten pushed out of the company. A lot of people were saying, like, he had a good run, 30 years, he just wanted to go. It's like, no. Based on... Sean
Layden got pushed out, too.
Yeah. So, based on company history and now where we're seeing these acquisitions, it seems more and more like, no, Jim Ryan made mistakes, and they're trying to correct those mistakes now. But unfortunately, it's going to probably come in the form of layoffs and cancellations. But man,
and remasters.
I mean, we'll get remasters at least, but like
because of layoffs and cancellations, then we're going to get more.
But and at this point, I would prefer that over like a live service game that I'm never going to put some, time into.
Because we're due. I we're going to change topics here in a second, but we're due a state of play, right?
Like, we would be,
not a Borderlands state of play, like a real state of play.
Yeah,
like
we would get one. Technically, we should be getting one now.
Memorial.
We usually take the towards the end of May, first 2 weeks.
It'll be our luck is like we'll post this podcast and it'll and then after the tweet after we'll say that there's a state of play.
Emergency podcast. But like
I don't know. North for me.
I don't know what you even consider doing for a state of play based on like
right.
State of play, if they were going to do one tomorrow, it would have been like
third-party indie. Like, we need another Kenna Bridge of Spirits. Like, we need something. Like,
but PlayStation probably, if we talk about what their plans a year ago for a state of play this year, probably would have been like, hey, Concord's doing good. Here's the first expansion. Yeah. Hey, Fairgames is dropping later this year with Marathon. Yeah. Oh, hey, here's Blue Point's new God of War live service game. Oh, hey, Twisted Metal Season 2 is coming out. Guess what? That Twisted Metal game from Fire Sprite, here it is. Like, there so many canceled games, so much money just flushed down the drain that could have gone to R&D to like maybe get some cost downs on their consoles, to get some new games going, just anything, new IPs, new partnerships, new acquisitions, like all of that just gone. For this, it's just it's wild. Like, do you think we see Fairgames like at this point? Like,
yeah, I think we do, because they can't. I mean, I don't think that they can afford to pull the plug on another one.
But can they afford for another flop?
They got one coming in our next story.
I can they afford 2 then? Like
that would be 3.
Yeah. Can they afford 2 more? Can they afford 2 more? But yeah, no. This puts him in a weird fucking spot, and like we'll just jump to it now. But like I imagine this game that we're going to talk about would have been a major part of the next state of play or something, and that's Marathon. So Bungie has pulled all gameplay of Marathon while it deals with stolen art. So Bungie is accused of and have admitted to having stolen art in Marathon. Due to possible litigations and investigations, Bungie has decided to pull gameplay and trailers for the game as they figure stuff out. They did a very somber like live letter where they basically talked about like, hey, this is what's going on and this is why we can't do this. But the main thing is, we'll talk about their history, but the main thing that happened this week or last week is an artist named Fern Hook jumped on Twitter and was like, hey, Bungie ripped a lot of my UI art and my just general art designs from my portfolio that dates back as far as 2017. Bungie has said they've reached out to the artist to discuss compensation, and they've terminated like the in-house artist that copied this art, apparently. What they're claiming is, yes, the art assets were stolen, but it was an accident because the art was put into basically like I'm going to simplify this. It was basically the art was put into like a data bank, so then the artist can then use that art to like tag up the world. And they didn't realize that not everything in that data bank was not owned by Bungie. So they basically fired the person who put those assets.
They threw some pages in the portfolio and to make it look thicker.
Yeah. They threw some decals in there, and then people were just like, oh, cool, this is all stuff we can use, and turns out it wasn't. This isn't Bungie's first instance or problem with stolen art.
So it's like Strike 4.
It's like Strike 4. I think 2 related to Destiny, 1 more for Marathon. The biggest one is like they stole a Nerf gun design for Destiny and Nerf's partnership. According to Forbes, Bungie's morale is in a free fall after the news of the stolen art, the 4th time in about 2 years this has happened. Mm-hmm. And then also the general public reaction to the Marathon Alpha. So apparently the studio is just completely free-falling. And internally, it sounds like a lot of people at Bungie just want the game delayed because they don't think the game is fully baked before all the stolen art stuff. And now afterwards, it definitely feels like there's going to be some issues with the stolen art and the stuff that, Dave, I don't know if you saw some of the art, but it is baked into the game. Yeah. Like it's not just like, hey, some murals in the background. It's like core fundamental UI designs, art that was used in the trailers, aesthetic stuff is just fully lifted unabashedly into this
and here's
game.
The scary part is I don't really think that Bungie as a studio, the people that are in charge or making these main decisions, right, wrong, or indifferent, stolen art, not stolen art, I don't think they can physically afford to delay Marathon because they will lose their control of the room.
They would lose control of like the board and everything, but how much money do they have to then like do you think Bungie has to go to PlayStation to be like, hey,
then they lose control of the board?
Yeah,
like,
but they're in a weird spot. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, so, like they're just like. Again, I enjoy Destiny. I like Destiny. I like Destiny 2 also. But just even some of the court stuff, if you go back like 6 weeks, like, so you know that they sunsetted a bunch of campaigns, right?
Yeah.
So there's allegations that they stole story essentially from somebody.
Yeah.
From a book. And so in court, they've had to kind of like prove they didn't steal it. And the judge says, so it's called the Red War campaign. So Destiny 2 vanilla. When Destiny 2 first launched, the Gaul campaign, the good versus evil, the boss that took their light. They said that they no longer have a playable version of that. Like it's gone.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah, no,
like,
100%.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
like,
100%. Yeah.
So like that's and it's because like they're essentially saying that, and they're trying to video game talk the judge and tell him like, oh, it just doesn't work. Well, yeah, but just bring me the older version. Oh, it don't work like that. Like we have
Dave,
a
when you put your Christmas
playable
decorations into storage, you smash it with a sledgehammer, right? Like before you like put it in the tub for next year.
Yeah. Or if it is true, they were literally like they found out, and before like it went public, and they just like literally hid their tracks, and like they're burying the dead body in their backyard,
shredding
like,
the files before the IRS comes. Yeah.
So like this is just like so bad, like so bad. On top of it, like, so that's your cake, that's your substance of the cake. There's some frosting on there of like the, like there's some other, okay, yeah, two pieces. I'm not demeaning art. Like, sure, you can pay, like, Sony or Bungie can pay and be like, here, how much to get you to stop talking. Like, we know that happens. But then the little like writing on top of the cake and the frosting is like, your game sucks.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's just not finished. Like, it's a cake that's not fully cooked.
Or you cut into it and it just falls apart.
Yeah.
It looks really good on the outside, and you cut into it and there's just air.
It's a fucking melted ice cream cake. It's baffling. So like there's multiple like aspects to look at this of just like what's going on at Bungie. Does the leadership say like fuck like art? Like are they just being like, if it's stolen, fuck it, we'll buy it later? Are they overworking their employees that they feel rushed and they need to steal art? Or there's some people, like I was reading some Reddit threads today and being like, oh, like 2 years ago, Bungie had a generative AI job posting, for art, or generative art AI posting. Maybe that has something to do with it, because AI can't create its own art. It has to just like repurpose previous art. Like maybe that's kind of breaking things down. But either way, it's showing like if you're PlayStation, you have to be like, okay, when we bought you, we weren't expecting to be in court every fucking week.
Yeah. This is like your sister marrying, your new brother-in-law that you always have to like go and bail out.
Yeah. It's one of those scenes where it's just like, if you're PlayStation, or if you're just a worker for Bungie, you're like, please PlayStation take over, because management is just fucking stealing art and not giving a shit.
And I'm hearing that they didn't compensate somebody. There was something that happened in a cutscene in Destiny, like with an image, and like they said, like Bungie's like, oh, we use a third party to do the cutscene. We didn't know. And like, oh, like, yeah, like they like, oh, we use that for inspiration. So like there's like the joke too is like, oh, so this is just going to be like a full Star Wars ripoff, right? Because it's going to be inspired by Bungie,
yeah,
which means they just take it.
But again, that comes down to like, okay, is that a directive coming from leadership?
Right.
This can't
make it happen. Any means possible.
Yeah.
Get it done. Get it on my desk by 8 a.m.
Oh, that looks cool. We should do something like that. And being like, does he not know that's just a reference? Well, don't tell him no. You got to fucking use it now. Is he looking at or whoever's in charge? Are they looking at inspiration boards and being like, oh, that's good, use that? Especially like the artists that like basically blew the whistle on this case of stolen art. Their portfolio stuff that they showed was from 2017, which means like someone was digging deep to find some of this stuff. But this is one of those scenes where like they pulled like some gameplay and some trailers, because again, the stuff that was stolen was baked really into this, to where Dave, it's May 20th when we're recording right now. The game's supposed to come out September?
120 days.
Yeah.
Like,
you can't rip the art out that is fundamental to the game in some aspects and just put placeholder stuff in right now. Like, you're looking at probably a delay for this
out of this year.
Yeah. And then also if you're PlayStation, you're probably sending people from other studios to be like, okay, you need to audit every piece of art in this game, because now this is the fourth time Bungie has been accused and have admitted to, like, Bungie is yet to say like, we did not steal art in any of the instances. They immediately are like, my bad.
Yeah.
And
they're not even, I'm also hearing they're not even properly compensating. Like,
it sounds like they say they're going to communicate out like, hey, we're going to message the artist we stole stuff from. And then the artist comes out 6 months later and says, where are you at though? Yeah. So like, it just seems like a complete mess. And then how much did Bungie cost? $2.5 billion?
Something like that, yeah.
I got to look it up just so I could be on the right side.
I got you. Keep going with your thought.
It's one of those things where if you add, this is my Steiner math, if you add $400 million of Concord cost, we'll say $200 million for Haven.
Oh, no, Michael, it's worse.
3.5?
3.6 billion.
Yeah, so you add the $600 million to the $3.6 billion, we're looking at $4 billion spent by, I'm going to say Jim Ryan and company, PlayStation in general, on live service games, and you have fuck all to show for it. $4 billion is 4 Gearboxes. And I don't even like Gearbox. I mean, we'll talk about Gearbox later. That's just on my mind. That is a shit ton of money that, again, is looking like it's going down a drain. Guess what, Dave? Bungie stole art to make Marathon. Bungie can make Marathon the greatest game ever, but because they stole art...
It's tainted.
It's tainted. People are going to look at that and be like, this is derivative, this might be stolen. They lost market share. They lost fans for life at this point. Yep. Not a lot of people maybe, but like you're already talking about like a low expectation game. And
well, you're tainting your brand. Like you're tainting your brand. Like now when you see that logo like on a trailer pop up, you sometimes like we always talked about that during showcases or during reveals, or like, oh, like that's the Naughty Dog logo. Like, oh, we got to sit up in a chair. Like, oh, let me grab my paper. Like this might be something to take notes on. Versus like, I'm not demeaning somebody else, but like a different studio logo. Like who?
Yeah.
Like for me, like for like 10 years ago, like if From Software would have shown up, I would have been like, huh?
Yeah.
Like stuff changes, but now Arrowhead. Like when Arrowhead's logo shows up again, there's conversation about they're going to make another game. It's not going to be with Sony. It's
fully funded, yeah.
Right. But all I'm saying is that wherever and whenever Arrowhead's logo shows up again, it's going to get my interest.
Well,
like it's going to pique it for a second.
I mean, you look at this in like movies, Hollywood in general. There are some actors that have done bad things, have technically redeemed themselves. I'm not talking about the actors that did horrible, horrible things, but the actors that like went through some shit. And then they're trying to make a comeback, but you still see their name in the credits, and you're like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with this movie based on what they did in the past. And that's what you're going to see the next time you see the Bungie logo, let alone the Marathon logo.
Or in like 20 years when Diddy releases another album or something.
But we're talking about him doing like way worse shit.
Right. Yeah, but I'm just like, but even no matter how good, like to your, like what you're saying is no matter how good anything, it could be the greatest album ever.
Yeah.
But it's got a name on it that's tainted.
It's hard to watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off knowing that like Matthew Broderick a couple years later killed someone in a drunk driving accident. It's like one of those scenes where it's hard to look at the movie of him driving around in his car and being like, yeah, I know what happens to him later in his life. It's like shit like that that it just kind of like will always be in the back of your head. And when you look at like Bungie, let alone the next time we see the Marathon logo, we're gonna laugh. But like, I knew about some of the stolen art stuff with Destiny, but it wasn't until I dug in, I'm like, oh shit, they've done this multiple times.
Yeah, and I wasn't necessarily like I'm not trying to like demean it or excuse it, but they put it on like a weapon ornament. Like, and to your point, like you were saying with Marathon, like these things are all over the maps. Yeah. All over the maps. Like we were talking about, like it's just me personally, like, and again, stolen is stolen. Like assets are assets. People work hard on their stuff. I'm not demeaning any of that. But like that, the Nerf Ace of Spade art that was allegedly stolen. I don't even use that gun. Like I would never have seen it, or I won't. But now, like when I see somebody use it, I'm not going to think, oh, that guy's using that exotic. I would like, oh, that's that stolen art.
Yeah,
like that's.
And then when it comes to Marathon was like little fundamental things, like the little glitchy thing that happens on the screen and transitions that was stolen. It's stuff like that, and it's absolutely wild. I know Johnny over here, and don't say it. Johnny over here having fun. It is just one of those things where it's just like, I don't know the next time the Bungie logo pops in a state of play.
Yeah.
What the reaction's going to be, or if I'm going to give a shit. About
and then the other thing that I'm concerned about at this point in time, please don't let me let me speak this into reality. Like this Project Gummy Bears thing. Like that, we didn't really even talk about it, but they like Sony put another studio together and essentially took this a potential Smash Brothers clone, I think,
Yeah.
that Bungie was working on, and now they've formed a studio. They took it away from Bungie, and they gave it to a newly formed studio by Sony. Like, my concern is, okay, so I don't even know if this game is 40% done.
Yeah.
Is there 2% of it that's fake, or 2% of it that's stolen?
Yeah.
I mean, at this point in time, the track record would say yes.
Well, I just imagine that, like, if you're working at Bungie, like, I think the studio is called LFG, which is like,
Yeah.
it's an incubation studio, which means it's still located probably in Bungie's headquarters. I just imagine there's like a glass cubicle that a Bungie employee is just like touching the glass of this, like, I wish I was there, because it's just like, they look like they're having fun. I'm over here having to literally scrub the walls in this game because there's some like random art here that may or may not be stolen.
The next Marathon Alpha paintball. Cover the
Actually,
art.
You know what? Let's make that a mode. Let's do a Splatoon in Marathon where it's just like, hey guys, cover up the art as much as you can. Like this.
I don't know why that just jumped in my head.
Yeah.
You only get points. You don't get points for killing your opponent. You get points for
covering
wall coverage.
Art. Yeah. Actually, fuck it. Get Nintendo on the phone. Let them know you have some Splatoon levels that would be fantastic for them.
They used to be owned by Microsoft. Just stick Microsoft Paint in there and let them go to town.
Here we go. Can we get Clippy to be a little like gun trinket? It'd be great. I don't know like what the fuck's gonna happen with this game. Dave's gone. Bungie's fucked basically. PlayStation's fucked because like I said earlier, if you're gonna do
if you're not Naughty Dog, Sony San Diego, or Sucker Punch,
but Dave,
I'd be holding on to your pants like really hard.
Dave, you bring up Naughty Dog. They canceled a multiplayer live service game that cost hundreds of millions of dollars to develop as well. Like,
I
is
understand,
wild.
but they have the pedigree of 5 other amazing games, and you're going to play Intergalactic. You are.
No. But I'm just saying, just in terms of the amount of money that Jim Ryan approved, that brought.
But
nothing.
how much did they make? Like, so that's the difference, though. Like, like Ghost of Tsushima had to have made money. Infamous 1 and 2 had to have made money. Second Son, it still probably did okay because it was a launch title. Uncharted 1, 2, 3, The Lost Legacy, the Uncharted Collection,
4. Last
of Us, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, the collection, and then Last of Us 1 and 2, and Last of Us Remastered, and Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, and all that stuff on PC. Like, those are all things that are making money. We saw on paper with Microsoft, like, talking about like the index card they had with Bungie of like, hey, like, really high end studio, very high burn, like they just like, essentially I think the card said they fucking light money on fire.
Yeah.
And now you're having to light more money on fire because they're doing stuff. And is Destiny enough of a revenue carry for that entire studio? And the answer is no, because if it was, they wouldn't have been looking to be acquired.
And they wouldn't have made Marathon. They would have doubled, tripled down on Destiny.
Yep.
But I'm just looking at it.
It's just
I'm just looking at it from PlayStation's perspective, just like the amount of money they burned between Haven, Concord, that Twisted Metal game, that live service game, the Blue Point live service game.
They closed another studio, right? Before Firewalk.
Fire Sprite.
Fire Sprite, and then I thought it was Incognito Project or
something like that. Yeah. But like again, it's just like they spent hundreds of $millions on The Last of Us factions. We know that because it was in development for a while. They canceled whatever Twisted Metal project that jumped from studio to studio that I think closed 2 studios in the process.
Yeah.
They killed the Blue Point God of War game. Which was a live service game. They killed
something at Bend.
They killed a Bend multiplayer game, I believe. They killed Concord. They're gonna probably kill Fairgames, and then Bungie has had to have just been a net negative at this point for them. And you just look at we're talking about billions and billions of dollars.
Best case for Bungie, and this would be a stretch as a break even. Best case, yeah.
Like, and I don't think
it's not there.
Yeah. And it won't be after they have to delay this game. Like, if it is there right now, It's not
unless the only saving grace, and this won't happen, but the only saving grace is this Edge of Fate expansion like just takes off.
Yeah,
like and it's probably not going to happen.
Well, especially now because the people that might have been on the fence about like, oh, maybe I'll go back to Destiny after this might be like, no, fuck Bungie. Like I don't want to support them at this point. Unless you want to go and see like if you can find the next stolen piece and then be like, hey, I found one, and it's like a scavenger hunt. It's their new what is it called? The ARG. It's their new ARG. Yeah. is find a stolen art. But I just man, what a fucking mess. But you already said like if Marathon's delayed, it's delayed till next year, right? Like at this point,
it has to be like multiple, like 6 months minimum.
If they push it out
on top of the art problem, which is an art problem, and then your feedback, Johnny's feedback, some other people that I've talked to of like it's just not fun.
Yeah,
like 6 months, minimum. And
if it still pushes out in September, I think that's them just being like, let it die. Just like they push it out and be like, let's just let it fall flat, so then we can then take over. Or so PlayStation can take over Bungie's board and get rid of leadership over there. But then at that point, like, what is Bungie at that point with the amount of people that have left that company?
Yeah, I mean, like you could say the engine, but that's getting older every day.
Yeah, and even then, like it'd be cheaper just to run Unreal or the Horizon engine. I don't know, like, because that was going to be the big holiday game, or one of the holiday games. They still have Ghost, that I'm sure then if you're going to Sucker Punch and you're just like, okay, how many people do you need from our other studios to make sure this game comes out in its most polished thing in the world?
I agree with you. Like, yes, it can be flawless. It could win Game of the Year. But like, I'm really starting to like. We saw it in the PS3 and the PS4 era, but I'm really starting to believe a $70, $80, $90 game that's a one and done purchase, like a box product, like that just doesn't move the needle anymore. Unless it does like 15 million copies.
At this point, I don't think it matters how much the game cost. PlayStation just needs a moral victory.
I agree, but their board will still freak out. Like if they see a spike in revenue in November and see a decline in December, January, and February, like continuous revenue.
I think
that's what that everybody likes that chart to kind of just move across and to either kind of go up and down, not like like super high highs are great, super low lows you freak out a little bit of it's really high and then it's going to be low for 4 or 5 months. It's really high and then
I think what would happen is whatever the Ghost ends up selling, whoever's in charge of PlayStation will tell the board like, hey, look, single player game made chart go up.
I know, but it's like with as many PlayStation 5s as we know are out in the like. What's a good first month attach rate?
I couldn't tell you. I would imagine 3 to 5 million copies. They would be very happy with that. I can see it hit 3 at the high end. 5 would probably.
Is that going to make it profitable?
It would probably make Ghost profitable. It's not like a crazy game.
Is that going to make Intergalactic profitable?
No, but I don't. At this point, they would. Intergalactic is already in the red because Naughty Dog had to cancel factions.
Right. Is that going to make Wolverine profitable?
I mean, Insomniac's its own profitable bucket.
I understand that, but is Wolverine going to be profitable?
Wolverine,
with the to your point, with the Marvel game, the Spider-Man games as a service canceled, is that going to make Wolverine profitable?
It probably wouldn't be as profitable as it would have been before if they didn't cancel that Spider-Man thing. Again,
that's the scary part. What do you think? What do you think Sony's most profitable? I have my own thought right now, but what do you think Sony's most profitable game is year over year?
Horizon or God of War.
MLB The Show.
Oh, well, I mean, if you're talking about year over year, because
profitable, like makes money.
Yeah, because it comes out every year, and,
but do you think that the Horizon franchise has made more profit than the MLB franchise in the same time window?
Man, I mean, Horizon 1 sold 23 to 25 million copies. I would probably. If we're only talking about the first one, because I know the second one didn't sell as well as the first one.
Right, but I'm saying, so if you take the window, like the launch year of Horizon, from that day until now and compare it to MLB The Show. I understand it's an annual thing, but who do you think made more I'm not talking about dollar revenue. I'm just talking about profit.
I still would say Horizon would probably, because MLB is one of those things. But
doesn't it usually sneak into the top 10 of MPD every year? Top 15?
Not as much as it used to.
Right. Okay, I agree.
But I would say
top 25 every year.
Probably, yeah. But I would say like MLB The Show is like having like a laundromat, like a turnkey business. Like it's not doing crazy profits. It's just doing consistent.
But it probably doesn't cost a ton to make either.
You would hope. You would hope.
Yeah, like a lot of the scans are one and done scans. Like once you get Wrigley Field, like unless they change something dramatically, it's not you don't have to go back there every year and rescan it.
Yeah, but I would imagine
it's not. Go back and rescan every player.
I would imagine it's not turning such a crazy profit.
No,
it's a steady earner, but
ain't nothing turning a profit apparently.
but then when you look at like Horizon, if we're just talking about just the game, because Horizon also has like, hey, we sell plushies, we sell rights to Amazon to never make a TV show for it.
Well, they sell diamond studs and everything too, like MLB does. So.
Yeah, but I would imagine just like Horizon is probably made.
Yeah. It's always one of those interesting things.
But it is. I don't know what the like a state of play would look like at this point.
We know profits are struggling because prices are going up.
I mean that is a combination of struggle and greed. Xbox increasing their prices.
They're trying to figure the market out, but they're trying to figure the market out because they need to make profit or revenue, or they need to show. Software is up from last year. Somebody's sitting on the board. Yeah, motherfucker, you raised everything $30. Like it better be up.
I think back to like Xbox a couple weeks ago when they raised up the prices, and it's like, it's interesting. You want to charge $80 for a game now that you're putting stuff out on PlayStation? Is it because they're buying your physical games? They're like, let's see if we can get them to buy our same shit at $80. But yeah, I don't, Dave. We'll wrap it up soon, but like, what the fuck is the state of play this year? Like, what is the showcase?
I don't know. Yeah,
because showcase is the big one, the big summer one.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you do for that? Like, third party stuff seems like it's super far out. Kojima just said like his next game is like 5 to 6 years away. Square just said like, hey, we're in the process of rebooting a lot of our franchises. Good luck for the next couple years. So like their third party stuff's not really there. And you can do a big blow off for Intergalactic, but like I still think that's might be like 2-3 years away.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, Dave. But Bungie's fucked and PlayStation also seems fucked. So we'll go there. But Dave, in these irrational times, these crazy times, just know that if you're a real fan of Borderlands, you can find a way to cough up $80 to pick it up. Randy Perchford let a fan know who asked or who was saying that they might not be able to afford an $80 version of Borderlands. Randy Pitchford said, when I was a kid and I wanted to buy a video game, I just worked for it. If you're a real fan, you'll make it happen. That's paraphrasing, but go read it.
Go cut some more lawns, bro.
Yeah, go read the tweet. Person whose net worth is in the hundreds of millions of dollars said, "You can afford $80 if you're a real fan." So
we're starting to build this Mount Rushmore of video game CEO phrases that are gonna we already have I'm sure there's more, but we already have 3 heads with like Don Matrix and Bowser and now Pittsford. Of things that they've said here's an image of what not to do.
I feel like we hit the point where like the executives are taking cues from the political spectrum of just like, just say the worst possible thing you can think of and then just double down on it and it'll go away eventually. But yeah, if you're a real fan of Borderlands, you'll pay whatever the fuck they're charging. Is basically the conclusion to that. I'm sure someone at Gearbox or Take-Two was just like, God damn it, Randy, go play with your fucking magic.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, he's not wrong, but it just sounds awful.
Especially coming from someone who just sold his company for $1 billion.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking horrible look. Like, go to the fucking medieval times, you fucking sicko, and like just shut the fuck up. Sorry, I don't like Randy Pitchford. Every time he's on screen, it just like annoys me.
Yeah, but like Borderlands might be at this rate, man. Borderlands might be the marquee fall game. Like everything's like, GTA's gone, Marathon's potentially gone. Like what's left?
Man, I imagine Randy Pitchford just.
You're gonna have to buy Borderlands out of desperation.
Fuck, no. Not me. I imagine Randy Pitchford just got a call this morning from PlayStation being like, all right, so we're going to increase the marketing budget. We're going to need you to do a bunch of stuff. We're going to make a partnership with Gearbox. And then Randy Pitchford's like, oh, I got the money coming in. Fuck the fans. And then like tweeted that out. But man, what the fuck? That's all I can say. It's such a dumb world we're in now.
I don't think that $80 is a stretch for Borderlands. Like if you ask me, in terms of like they do events, they have true end game in their games. They're not a 10-hour campaign, like, or if it is a 10-hour campaign, it has post game quest, it has friends play, it has. I think that there's just way better ways to present your game and talking about the value proposition of your game. Like, I'm not a huge like dollar per hour kind of guy, but like some of these games are kind of like ridiculous. Like some of it's bad, some of it's great. Like you're gonna get if you. Yeah.
There are better ways to justify $80, I think, is what we're trying to get to. But that is not the way to do it.
Like these people take PR classes. Like they get, like we've all, like you and I, Michael, have been privy to like, okay, you're about to go in and talk to blah, 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 blah. Here's what we would like you, essentially like you not to bring up.
Yeah.
Or you could, like, hey, give me an idea what you want to talk about and we'll see who you want to talk about. Yeah, we're not talking about that.
Especially, we know Randy Pitchford has gone through some PR classes due to his medieval times experiences, but like, man.
Well, he's gone through some PR classes to be a decent human being, but he's also gone through some PR classes of like, hey, dude, you're going to have a microphone in front of your face. You're going to be on Twitch. You're going to be on State of Play. Like, don't put your foot in your mouth. And then he goes on social media and puts his damn foot in his mouth.
Which is why they're probably happy with him doing little card tricks at panels and stuff like that. They're like, keep Randy busy with something. Yeah. Because he will say something silly and stupid. Did he delete the tweet? I got to look that up to see. But yeah, no, it's such
No, he won't. He's such a tool that he wouldn't do it.
Just to spite, because that's where we are right now. Just like, no, double, triple down.
All right, well, while Michael looks that up, as we already knew, we're already getting near an hour and 20 minutes. We're going to wrap the show up. We're going to skip what we're playing and watching, mostly because I haven't really played anything. I have started Expedition 33. I've played enough of Expedition 33 to say that I want to play more. However, I am going out of town this week coming up for Memorial Day. I'm going up north. We're doing a memorial for my dad. My entire mom and dad side of the family is going to be up there. That'll be like the first time that we've all been up there, all been together anywhere in probably 15 years, maybe 10. So like there's like the family's definitely grown, so that'll be something that we're looking forward to. That will affect my game playing for next week. It is going into a holiday weekend as well in the States, at least, where we are going up until Memorial Day. We do not know what the news will be like. Similar to last week, we are not going to force shows. We're not going to come on here and just talk just to talk. We do enough talking just to talk when we have bullet points. We don't need to fill it with anything else.
We're at almost 120 right now.
So and that's a little bit heavier than normal for us, and we didn't we knew that the Haven thing was going to be long, but yeah. And apparently Michael's got a hornet's nest to fight with, so maybe he won't be made for TV, or he won't be made for Twitch on next week. It's
someone noticed there's a dead light.
Go to my store, buy some suits, buy a mask, please.
Dude,
I will give you my phone number.
There's a broken spotlight thing in my yard.
Yep.
The hornet's nest is in the light fixture. I can't poke it with a stick. I can't.
You like TikTok, man. Just take that, look for those little plastic containers full of vinegar and stick it right over the light.
No, that's what I'm going to do, but it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if it's
vinegar or if it's plastic container.
It's gasoline, apparently. Okay. But I'm not going to go to I don't have a car. I'm going to go to a gas station and
You don't have a lawnmower? Or do you have an electric lawnmower?
Electric. I don't have a huge lawn, so I don't know. I'll figure something out.
I have an electric lawnmower now,
I have some very strong vodka. I'm just going to grab that and just get get them drunk. I don't know if it's
Michael
an active
might not
one.
be ready for Twitch next week.
Yeah, I might not be. I have a lot of housework that I'm doing.
Are you allergic?
No, I just don't want to be stunned by hornets.
I know, but have you been stung before?
Yeah, I got
Ever?
stunned in the eye, actually, like the tear duct. So, like, I've been stung by a bee.
Right.
So, unless hornets are that
So
much
I guess the answer is like, at least the answer is better than I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to micro myself by killing these hornets. For anyone that knows that reference. I'm not going to Macaulay myself. Hopefully not. I don't even have a ladder
Sarah,
to get to it.
they're cheaper at my store, wherever you find them from. I promise you, they're cheaper at my company.
I have. There's actually one not too far from me. One of your companies. So I also need to get a ladder because it's high up, and I don't have.
I got those too.
Fuck. I might just. I think it might be a dormant one. So I'm just gonna.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if it grows over the next couple weeks, and try and fix it.
You'll have to update us on Discord, and the collection will be how many dots does Michael have on it?
I don't know. We'll see.
Sorry.
I'll live stream me
Oh my
God. Checking this.
I've been stung on the tongue.
I got as a kid the tear ducts.
Like in my mouth.
Yeah. That's weird. Dude.
It flew into a can of pop, and I didn't know it was in a can of pop.
And with its dying breath, it just killed you.
Yeah, I drank. I took a swig of it, and all of a sudden I'm like, "What's in my?" And then boom,
Yeah.
I'll post Sarah's. Sarah's got our back though. Sarah's gonna take care of posting for you.
Yeah. Okay.
So, with that in mind, if you want to see what happens to Michael over the holiday weekend in the United States, join our Discord, linked in the show notes. Shameless plug. Follow us on Twitter at Digital Days Pod. You can follow Michael at The First MJC. You can follow myself at Good Dave Hunt. Blue Sky is at Digital Days Podcast?
Something. Hold on.
Yours is at First MJC.
Yes.
I know that. Mine is at Good Dave Hunting. I think it's at Digital Days Podcast.
I don't know, Dave. I don't know.
Because we have a
nope. Digital Days Gaming. It's the whole thing.
Digital Days Gaming. Okay.
Digital Days Pod
that
on
one makes
Twitter.
sense. Yep. At Digital Days Pod on Twitter. At Digital Days Gaming on Blue Sky. Michael's is at The First MJC on both. And if you start typing in at Good Dave Hunt on both, you'll get me. I think Blue Sky is hunting and Twitter is hunt because like space and character limits that Blue Sky doesn't have. Again, Facebook group Discord is linked in the show notes. Patreon is linked there as well. If you are in the United States, I hope you have a nice Memorial Day weekend. Rested, get some rest, do some barbecuing. The weather in Michigan is going to be awful. So we'll see how that goes. But other than, have a great weekend. If you're not in the United States, please just be safe, and we'll talk to you guys next week. And have a great week and keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See you.